Okay. Thank thank you. Hold on, let me go this. Okay, so now we are adjourning to closed session. We will be talking about confidential student matters, consideration of potential expulsion, case number 10212021, and also another confidential student discipline matter, consideration of potential expulsion, case number 101-82021. And we are also going to go in and be discussing property negotiations. So we will adjourn to closed session and report out when we come back.
And Josh has that link for the board.
Yes, Josh does have it. Okay.
Let's go over to the other link now. And Daniel, you keep this one open.
I will keep it open, and for the board members looking to get back in, feel free to send me an email if you need that link again to get into this one.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good.
So am I going to a different link, Daniel or Josh?
Yes, Sandra, I would text or message Josh and he'll send you that link.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to leave this one.
Okay, sounds good. Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you. We are waiting for Larry.
I wonder if he lost the link. I'll send the link again to him.
Okay.
There he is.
Okay. So we are back in open session, and and I'm reporting out from closed session that after deliberating and voting, the board is returning now to open session to report out that the board took action during the closed session. So the board voted to approve the stipulation expulsion order with suspended enforcement regarding confidential student discipline matter case number 101-82021, and it was a unanimous vote. On case number 102102021, the board voted, and it was unanimous that we did not approve the the stipulated expulsion order. We did not approve it, so everybody voted no. And then just on the property negotiations, we just received information. So now going on to our open session, we have our consent agenda. And is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody wants to pull or has questions on? And if not, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? It has the warrants from September 30th, staff reporting from the 29th of October, minutes, and approval of our consent agenda, which I think we already did. Oh, no, yeah, of the consent agenda, sorry. So can I get a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Gershom. And a second?
I'll second.
Larry, thank you. Larry, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gershom?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion passes. So now we go on to the action item B, the approval of a new SABA board member, Javier Gonzalez. Did you want to take that, Josh?
Yes. So I met with Javier last week, and he works for he's deputy sheriff at the Santa Cruz County Santa Cruz Sheriff's Office. He's the father of 2 kids, one of which goes to Landmark Elementary. He's very interested in the community. He volunteers in a lot of different ways through the sheriff's office. He also kind of wants to begin to work, like do presentations at SABA as well. So really eager to get involved. And he grew up in Mexico, came to the United States as an adult. He's from Tecate, and he is a first generation or graduate from college, second language learner, and yeah, all around just a really likable person. And I think he'd be an excellent candidate for the board of directors, SABA board of directors.
So did you approach him, Josh?
This is actually Michael.
Oh, okay, great,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
great. Any questions from the board? Any public comments before we vote? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Javier Gonzalez to the SABA Board of Directors?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
How do you vote, Larry?
Yes.
Gershom?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion passes. We are on now to reports. So we have the DMS report up first, financials through September. Hi,
Thank
Paul.
you. I have the financials for the first 3 months of the year through September of 2021. Next month, we'll be presenting your October financials, and along with that, the first of 2 required budget revisions. This will be the first interim That will be due to the county by December 15th, possibly earlier to your authorizer. So with 25% of the year elapsed, I'm assuming you all have a copy of the.
I can pull it up on the screen so you can.
Here, I can
glance
just share my
through it.
screen since you're
Okay,
taking.
go for it, Josh.
Oh, can you open up sharing, Daniel?
Yes, just a second. I gotta make you co-host again.
And just go to page 2 with the summary.
You got it.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, so through one quarter, through 25% of the year, we're on track. 24% of the budget, expenditure budget has been expended. You don't expect them all to be equal. Materials and supplies, it tends to be curriculum and technology. That's at 43%. We fully expect that. Everything's kind of aligning where we would think it would be at this point. Revenues are still in the slower phase. We'll start to catch up November, December, and then once P1 attendance is filed.
Yeah, I can give an update on revenue too. In October, we received a large chunk of our in lieu of property tax from the district. We received the Prop 39 settlement money from them, as well as some of the one-time funding and LCFF through the Santa Cruz County Office of Ed. So in October, we'll start to see, I think I projected it would be around 19 or 20%. So it's still behind where we are in the year, but like Paul said, we'll be catching up in no time.
Yeah.
And so just really quick, Paul, then it says second interim budget. Is that what is, I'm not sure, it says that up top.
Oh, no, that's a mistake. I apologize.
I
If you
thought
go
it-
to the next one, let me see. I mean, the detail, yeah, July revised budget is what it's supposed
Okay.
to say. They're supposed to feed over. It's
okay, no worries. I
yeah.
figured as much, but I figured I'd
Yeah,
double check just to
yeah.
make sure.
It's linked to our system. I don't know why that happened. So,
Mhm.
okay, so yeah, and along with what Daniel said, revenues tend to lag in the first 6 months of the year anyway. That's just the way it's structured. So, but all in all, you know, we always look at the trends on the expenditure budget. And if you go over 2 more, this is a more detailed view. If any board member wants to see details, what we'll do when we do the first interim is we'll start to look at all of the, after we reforecast revenues based on current enrollment in ADA, we'll start to look at actual staffing, where we're at, and then seeing if we need to shift budget dollars around. Because, you know, July plans, sometimes once the year starts, things change, priorities change slightly. So there could be changes in the budget.
So I have a few questions on this.
Sure.
So our July revised budget shows textbooks, right? And other references. Nothing was budgeted, but they
Yeah.
came in.
Yeah.
Nothing was budgeted, huh?
I brought that up with them today, and I think we're going to look at it. I looked at the detail and I sent them the ledger. So we're planning on discussing that next week. If I was to pull up what the specifics were in there, I was curious whether they were just should have been coded to 4310, if that's where they intended everything to be, is which tends to be classroom instructional materials, tends to be consumable type things. But nowadays we live in a tech world where it's a lot of licensing on software curriculum. But the specifics that are in that 193, it would take me a second to pull it up.
You know where I think the phrase instructional materials is probably where it threw us off. So instructional materials from the federal program monitoring standpoint is curriculum. From the bookkeeping standpoint, it sounds like that was rolled into office supplies, or excuse me, materials and supplies rather than core curriculum.
Yeah.
And
What's in that textbooks is Amplify Education, Cengage Learning, McGraw-Hill, Renaissance, Savas Learning Company, TCI.
Yeah, those all make sense. And I do think it was a matter of
just where it was coded to.
yep.
Yeah, just coding.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll fix
And it
that.
all rose up, and it all rose up to the 4,000. So
It does. It does. So another area we'll have to look at is non-instructional software licenses. And when that is higher, you'll see it's 36,000 versus 15. A lot of times to somebody, instructional licenses, or a software license, there could be instructional items in there, or there could have been increases in student information system pricing. But we have to dig into details, and that's all part of the first interim process anyway.
So I also have a question on 4,700 because it's school nutrition, and that we all know costs a lot of money. So how come there's only $209 expensed?
Sometimes the bills, who does your nutrition? Do you have, is it an outside firm? Is it a
Yeah, it's an outside vendor. It's Nob Hill Catering.
Nob Hill Catering?
I'm wondering the same myself because I definitely have been coding to 47.
So
Right, yeah, it doesn't make
in
sense.
October, we have 3 invoices that hit from them for $39,000. So
Okay.
it looks like it's just a timing
It's a
issue.
timing issue. Okay.
Yeah, and then typically I usually see a lag of 1 to 2 months on 1 month, usually on the invoices, 2 months, sometimes on the revenues. So the next one, when we do the first interim along with that first 4 months, a lot will come out.
Right,
and
it'll show up.
We'll correct these as well.
And then insurance came in a little higher, right? That's why it's at
Yeah.
90,000, okay.
Yeah.
And then we have non-instructional software licensing fee. So only 15.7 was budgeted and came in at 36.
I'd want to look at what's in there just to make
Okay.
sure that there's no curriculum or any type of instructional licensing.
Mhm,
That's a common miscoding error that I have seen elsewhere.
mhm.
Although with SEBA, usually things are really accurate. So there could be, until I dig into the details and we
Right.
have meetings with Josh and Daniel, we can't really, I couldn't comment
Mhm.
further.
And then, of course, the advertising, which is small, right? But still at 100%.
What is EduPoint? EduPoint is something.
That's our SIS.
Okay, but that was 31,000 alone. That came in a lot higher than I think what would have been expected. So for whatever
That one was, I
reason.
think, a 5 or 10-year term. I can't remember.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
So
right,
well, then we
right.
should move it.
Hold on. So non-instructional software license was EduPoint. It's because we're switching to our own Synergy school information system.
Mhm.
So that's where the increased expenditure is. Mary, you asked about advertising and recruitment, and then Paul went back to instructional.
Right. Mhm.
The advertising and recruitment, we printed out new brochures to begin for recruiting students to SEBA for the following year. And I think a large chunk of that is the reason that's up for the
Okay.
pamphlet printing.
Okay.
And
Thank
if EduPoint is more than a 1-year term, what we would do is we would move the other portions to a prepaid expense and then amortize it out over the life of the contract. So one other thing to look into.
Oh, then that probably needs to, yeah, then that'll go down significantly.
That will, yeah.
I'd be happy to work on that with you and or Ken.
Okay. I just pull the invoice, look at what the term is, and then we'll deal with it accordingly. The next tab, if you go down another page, we should be getting to our cash flow.
Mhm.
And again, here we just look at the trends. You can see where I've tried to change the shading to show you actuals versus the forecast. Next month, again, we'll shed light on a lot of things, but right now, cash is really strong. It was at 2.3 million. That's 113 days of cash on hand. So even given the slower revenue collections, cash flow is not an issue for SEBA at this point, and they're very strong. So, and the last page is your balance sheet. Just real quick on the balance sheet alone, if you looked at current liabilities and current assets, you can easily pay your current liabilities, 10 times over. So that's extremely healthy.
Mhm.
Um,
It is.
Don't have much more to add at this point unless the board has questions.
Nope. You answered them as we went along, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Any other questions?
Nope. Thank you.
If not, this is an action item, right? This is an action.
I think it's.
Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, it's not. It's a report. Sorry. I'm looking at my agenda incorrectly. Okay, so now we're on to operations report. Thank you, Paul.
Great. I'm going to share my screen. Thanks again, Paul.
Thank you.
Let's see. Share screen. Okay. So I'll be presenting the enrollment and attendance. Hang on, let me- So between now and the previous meeting, SEBA did bring in some new scholars. We brought in 5 7th graders and 6 8th graders to kind of help the the trend that we were seeing with our ADA in the first 2 months.
That's great.
And just to bring us back towards, where we can be with 525. So like I said, 5 7th graders, 6 8th graders. We didn't make any changes at the high school. So 522 is where we sit right now. We are budgeted to have been at 519 by October 1st. So then for attendance, nothing changed from month 1 and 2. I'm just keeping that there. For reference, month 1 we had 481.06, month 2 485.58, and month 3 488.1. So we're starting to we're starting to see that the effects from having students be out for quarantining or isolating is starting to slow a little bit. And I will note that the month 3 ADA is not yet affected by the new students. Month 3 ADA was all the way through the end of the first quarter for us. So it's still projecting below our budgeted ADA. And taking a look at our first quarter attendance, our ADA was roughly 494. So I think in the first interim budget, we will have an updated P2 budgeted number. My estimate will probably be close to 490, 491 ADA, which I think is about 3-ish% below our budgeted. So we'll see how that impacts the budget.
I was going to
but-
say, how will it impact? Maybe about 75, 80K? Maybe.
Possibly, yeah. We're gonna work on that with Paul and DMS. But that would obviously be with all things being held constant, in that we do have a number of students who have been out for like I said, quarantine and isolating. But with other things that could continue to improve for us, and perhaps our ADA number is actually higher than what my 490, 491 projects to be. But that's all I have in terms of enrollment and attendance. If anybody has any questions, feel free to share them.
Any questions? Okay, we can go on then to the head of school report. It's all yours, Josh.
All right. Okay, so SEVA org goals for the 21-22 school year. We have governance, finance, facilities, human capital, academic program, school culture, organizational leadership, and the California School Dashboard. So finance, we get updates ongoing, facilities as well, often through Daniel. Human capital, we'll discuss that in the December board meeting. Academic program, we'll come back to that in January. School culture, we looked at in October. And then the organizational leadership, which is really just how did you do on all these other areas, will be looked at the end of the school year, and then the dashboard when available. But today I want to talk about governance. So for governance, that is bizarre.
Yeah, that is bizarre.
Okay, go to this.
One more go.
Yeah. Okay, so organizational goals governance, we have a few different metrics where we measure our success. First one is 80% of board members attendance at SEVA board meetings. We're at really close. We're at 75. We've been 4 out of 5 July, 4 out of 5 August, 3 out of 5 September, and then we were at 4 out of 5 for this month. So just that one there was keeping us below, but really happy with the attendance for SEVA board. And I know if we just continue to get that 4 or even 5 out of 5, we'll get back to that 80% by the end of the school year. We've always had a quorum 100% of the time, so that's great. Completed annual training. We did the board retreat on 8/21. We only had 3 people show up for that, so we still need to follow up with 2 members regarding the annual training. Board members involved with the WASC accreditation. We have our agenda set up for them. I presented on that last month. TBD on who ends up joining the WASC visiting committee for those dates in mid-November. And then compliance with fiscal governance requirements. And so this could include things like, are you approving the handbook, CONAP, CalSTRS agreements, local assignments, vaccination policy, to name a few. and we've met each of the policy, fiscal, and governance requirements thus far. So we're doing well. And then finally, attendance at school site council and ELAC DLAC. We've had school site councils on August 5th, August 18th, September 15th, and October 20th. We have another one in next week. And we have ELAC DLAC quarterly, and we had one on 7/31, and we had for Q1, and then we had our Q2 on October 23rd. So overall, we're doing really well, and I really appreciate the board being responsive to email, attending these meetings, and yeah, we're in good shape with the governance goal, and hopefully we'll continue to meet these goals for the remainder of the school year. Any questions?
Hi, I had a question. I guess I'm just, what does governance mean? Like, what are you categorizing this as?
The SEBA Board of Directors. So, well, you can see what this is categorized here under these areas.
It
So-
does. They're,
It just relates to board governance, not like school administration.
it's
Pardon?
how we as a board are performing.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And that's your report for done?
That's- Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so items for the next board meeting. I know Emily, you said something about so you have
Differentiating the
office referral versus
minor incidents as it
There we go.
relates
So
to our
just what that is. Anything else from this meeting? No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
We need to add the renewal for next month so we can continue doing it online.
Oh, the resolution.
Yes, and we can't do that now. I thought about that actually yesterday after I'd sent out the agenda, and I sent out the agenda on Friday. So
We'll have a separate special meeting.
we can do that, or one of us, needs to, we can have it in person and you can phone into, which we did previously. So I'll send out an email about that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think.
thanks for that reminder. Fresh. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we can also add like the adoption or the resolution adopting Javier to the board.
And you have are you getting educator effectiveness grant money, Daniel?
Yes.
So you have to do a plan, and then it has to be reviewed at one board meeting and adopted at the next, and it has to be done by the end of December. So you should get it on your next board meeting.
Great. Thank you so much for that reminder.
Oh, it's November? You may need to have it on a separate, because we only have 2 board meetings, right? No, we only have December's, or where am I? This is November. So we may have to have a special board meeting so that you can have it adopted by
On
the
the
December
12th,
board
on the
meeting.
December, yep.
Anything else? I don't think so. Okay. We got in just under the gun of 7:30. It's 7:23 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a
Take
good night,
care.
everybody.
You too.
Bye.